Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Hey, can we get a weather update, Leroy, from the Demesman and Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com. Free consultations 24/7. Call them at 866-954-MORE. He's heading over to the Windowplex.
And looking out, it's overcast. I would say it's cloudy, but there's no clouds. It's just overcast. It looks like up north.
It's gotten darker.
Wind, not a damn leaf moving. Ominous. There's no wind. I'm guessing it could probably rain, but this doesn't even look like rain clouds. It's just overcast. I would say it's about 65, 70 now because it's been chilly. And I'm going to say the wind's out of the north because that's the only way you can make it this cold. Oh, there's a little breeze. I see a couple of little trees moving. All right. So I'd give you a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind out of the north. But other than that, gotta tell you, for this time of year, it's quite miserable.
It is 65 degrees. The wind is coming 8 miles per hour from west to northwest.
Wow.
He's good.
You got to tell you, when it gets cold,
He's
listen, there is no, here. Folks, I'm going to tell you about weather. Common sense here. There is absolutely no way it can get colder with the winds coming out of the south. It can't.
Impossible?
Impossible.
Interesting.
It's nothing but warm air.
Well, Antarctica.
That's
Boxed in.
That also would come out of the north.
No. That's the North Pole. North Pole, South Pole. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. So if the wind's coming out of the south, it's warmer.
No. Because see, you got.
No, I'm not doing this.
You got a slider.
No.
You got a screwball.
No.
He got you.
No.
He got you.
No, he ain't get me.
Once you let him get away with the South Pole and he started doing the effects, he had you. He got you.
All right, so we haven't talked about the Dolphins in a while, especially the Dolphins quarterback.
Because they're not playing football.
They're not playing football right now, but we have some thoughts here. This is from Tua Tagovailoa. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Who?
If I miss it. It's Tua's father.
What's it?
Papa
Spell
Tua.
it?
Galu.
Galu.
Galu Tagovailoa. He was on ESPN Honolulu. And
That just sounds weird, right?
They got
got
sports
their
talk
own
out there.
ESPN Honolulu.
They got sports talk out there, dude.
No, I'm not questioning they have sports talk, but to say ESPN Honolulu, that's how they get you. Let me tell you, that's how they get players, right? They get somebody to put that ESPN flag on.
Oh,
there,
yeah.
And then they say, we're from ESPN.
I pulled that move a bunch.
But if you say you're just local, right, you get no love.
Yep.
If you say I'm ESPN, ooh, that means I'm going to be on SportsCenter.
Exactly.
You're really not, but that's how they get you.
I pulled that move. I can't say that I haven't.
Put the little ESPN flag on?
Oh, yeah. Or even just an email requests, like to be, ESPN Miami. Oh, okay. That sounds cool. Anyway, Mr. Tagovailoa, he said that he was talking to Tua about his year. And Vlad, give me the part where he says that Tua, he kind of doubled. Remember when Tua said, "I'd die for this game"? Yeah, he talked more about that, about how Tua said that, I'll die on the field for this game.
I think it's tough for any parent to kind of, go through something like this, but at the same time, the NFL is different. The way they do things, how they run things, it's a whole different beast. It's a whole different animal. But at the same time, this is something that Tua is now married. He has his own family. And these are some of the tough decisions that he's going to have to deal with in life, to decide whether the game is, he's going to continue or the game is something that he loves, and one of the things that I talked to him when he was going through his concussion was, hey, well, what do you think? And it's like, Dad, I love this game and I'll die on the field for this game. So that answers everything for me. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as a father, you're like, man, you got to take care of your health. That's the most important thing. You have a family. I have 2 beautiful grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, I got to talk to him about, something to think about.
All right. There's a little bit of Tua Tagovailoa on ESPN Honolulu there. That is one of the biting things that all this stuff, whenever he does play, though, is like I know it's got to be frustrating for him to not be able to continue to play at certain points in the season, especially when there was that long break from the concussion, which really did look ugly against the Bills, but supposedly, I guess, wasn't as major as the other ones, Leroy.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want to be the face of concussions and the poster child for all the concussions and all this type of stuff. But man, it has got to be one of these things that has to be looming in the back of that father's and I'm sure parents' head every single time he steps out there now, because they've seen it happen to him multiple times.
Yes and no. I would say this. You understand the nature of the game, right? I would say it's one thing to say it, but the circumstances will now allow that to happen. So you're saying that, giving the appearance that you're committed to this, but the injury aspect of it probably won't allow it to happen. You understand what I'm saying? That's the reality of it. We're not talking about long term, but we're just talking about when you say, I would die for this, right? It's more of a figure of speech.
It's an emphatic saying that
right
probably won't happen.
Correct. So take it for what it is.
But
But
it's looked as scary with him on the field that is not
but,
death.
But that's here
more so than a lot of other people.
Are we looking at that because of what everybody's telling us? Or are we looking at, here's how I've always felt the way I feel about it. When you have people outside of the medical profession or outside of football talking about injuries, you never get the reality of what's going on, okay? So you have doctors, you have these specialists or whatever that are determining what's going on and what's the damage and how, and they have tests in place. It didn't help that the Dolphins put him on IR without going through that process. You could have waited a week and so, it's going to be 4 weeks. We'll put him on IR. In fact, if I was the NFL, I would allow you to put somebody retroactive when it comes to concussions, so that because it's so uncertain, you give it a week before making that determination. So you could go retroactive to the week before, right? Because it's an unknown.
Well, this is the thing, though. Like, it is, like odds are it's not going to be the last concussion of his career. Probably.
Yeah, well, of course. And that's what I tried to tell you then. It probably won't be his last, but
doesn't have to be a month shutdown every single time.
No, but here's this is the problem. When this happened, we got into it because you said they went with optics.
Mm-hmm.
I go with health. Okay, the injury is the injury. Stop letting what people outside the medical profession think determine how you treat an injury, because this is the hot topic right now. But what about the guys that go out and hurt their hip and take a shot in their hip and then they can't walk when they're done with football?
He has that too, actually.
What about the guys who we see lumbering around or can barely move because they got a shot in their back?
Well, I think one of the things that's probably a benefit for Tua, but is not great, I think, for the typical grind of football of coaches not caring, is he does seem like he has a coach who genuinely cares about his health.
Yes.
And that is overly cautious with him.
Yes. But being overly cautious doesn't do anything for an injury, right? If you have a medical professional, if you go through the process and you're healthy, you should play. Stop making it about anything other than the injury. And that's what we did with Tua.
Here's a little bit more of Tua Tagovailoa on ESPN Honolulu and saying that this is ultimately Tua's choice.
Has that been difficult for you? You have been working with him and with both of your sons really in such close quarters and in such involved fashion. Is that difficult for you to separate that and allow him to make these kinds of life impactful decisions?
Oh yeah, it is difficult. It's hard because you don't really have him like how you had it before. You know what I'm saying? Like married, he has his wife and his family, and those decisions are based on both of them, and things that they got to look at. And his wife is such a beautiful lady that she's all about his health. She's all about and she tells him, I want to live long with you. You know what I'm saying? We gotta make sure we do the right. But Tua grew up in a way that everything is just so competitive. He just don't want to leave the game.
Yeah.
The kid loves it, and but I believe that the Lord has a plan for him, and wherever the Lord takes him, it's a decision that he's going to have to make with his family.
Yeah, there you go. That is
boy.
Tua's father on ESPN.
I just think
I don't like when they use the Lord in this type of
very, very
like,
holy family.
I just think that you deal with injuries accordingly, not how they look.
Do you think
not how the optics are? Because here,
but do you think
the NFL and football teams get themselves in more trouble trying to do things that look right instead of things that are right.
But is the genie out of the bottle with him already with that? Like it's one thing to do it with any other player in the league, but as much as he doesn't want to be the face of concussions, he is. And they do look bad, and the Dolphins have already reacted the way that they have. So like if it does happen again, is there any going back, like to especially with the same people running the organization? So that's the thing that's kind of questionable.
They set the tone. For, I don't know, but that's why look, in all these different scenarios in sports, we have protocols of how we do things, right? Except this one, right?
Extra protocols.
There's a protocol that you set as far as health, as far as testing, as far as everything. And when we were going through this, I said, hey, the process is the process. They don't need to put him on IR. Like, let's let the process play itself out. But they jumped the gun because of how it looks. Well, that's not the process either.
Yeah, my thinking is like next year, like Grant DeBose had a really, really bad concussion this year with the Dolphins. Really, really bad. And he didn't finish the season. My guess, though, is if Grant DeBose, and I really hope this doesn't happen, but you just, use the example for what it is. My guess is Grant DeBose gets another concussion. No one's really talking about his career or what the long-term ramifications are the next time that he's out there.
Correct.
Even if he were to go out there the next week.
Correct.
Whereas Tua, everything that happens, if he were to get another concussion, it's going to be, oh my God, is it time to retire? Like the whole cycle is going to start again with the Miami Dolphins and with that.
But I think it's their own doing, because if they would have came out and said, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to handle it, we're going to do the medical professional thing. We want Tua to be safe. We're going to stay out of it, right? And let the medical professionals determine when is the best time to return.
I lost focus. D-Sizzle
That
says,
wasn't my fault. That was not my fault.
I was just at Pet Supermarket. I marked 3 birds as safe from JFig.
Point for Twitter. So, some jackass from this show is going to be walking through Pet Supermarket, and they're going to be a whole bunch of X's on cages. A whole bunch of X's on cages. And they're like, we got a problem at Pet Supermarket. All these people are putting these X's on these bird cages.
You guys are having a wonderful discussion, wonderful conversation about Tua and his dad.
That's the problem.
And then out of nowhere, I look to the corner, I see D-Sizzle.
Nobody has respect in the chat. The chat is a bucking bronco.
D-Sizzle I lost it.
The show is fluid, right?
The show's fluid.
It's fluid.
They'll let you know when they want to move on to the next topic.
You just look at the birds in the pet store. They're like, they look like they haven't been traumatized by her yet.
Dude, I remember I had
What
a
store are you guys at?
Amazon parrot.
Oh,
I kind of like the little talking bird,
I don't.
but the problem is they're only receptive to one person.
There's no way those birds are gonna deal with Dre and Zeus.
Sure they will.
No,
No.
Dude, I had two.
they're gonna mess with them.
Yeah, the birds will mess with the dogs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like they're gonna like start like
Barking.
You get like a
It's
gray
funny though.
a gray parrot will
Funny
start
until it gets
barking,
annoying.
and then it'll be like faking a doorbell. They'll be woof woof.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Like,
I had a when I was in Cleveland, I had a bird, and the bird liked cheeseburgers, right? So you used to get him just a little cheeseburger from McDonald's or whatever,
Excuse me.
and he would eat the cheeseburger and drop a little bit on the ground, and the two dogs would run over to eat it, and he'd slide down, bite him on the ass, and go. So I would just sit on the couch. I would sit on the couch for hours, give a cheeseburger, and watch the show.
Two things. One, what was the bird's name?
Pepper.
You
So-
named the bird Pepper?
Nice name.
No, but so here's the other thing. The bird couldn't fly, right?
Mhm.
But I had two Shar-Peis who are fighting dogs, Japanese fighting dogs. They're mean as hell. The bird would jump off the cage and walk on the floor and go, "Here, Pepper." and laugh, and the dogs were terrified.
I'm just like, but wait a minute.
It's fun.
Don't birds just eat nuts? Like,
No.
they're
Why
supposed
are
to
you
eat
feeding it Big Macs?
Yeah, I
I
don't
was
think that's. I
feeding
don't
the
think that.
cheeseburgers.
I don't think
We
you're supposed to
just
do
said he
that.
couldn't
And then he's
fly 'cause
biting
he
more
fed him
ass? Like he's
cheeseburger.
biting
Wait.
more meat.
Guess what? Bird still alive.
The parrots are resilient.
If you buy a
They're chatty
parrot,
patties.
if you buy a parrot and the parrot doesn't outlive you, bring it back, you get a new one.
Hmm.
They live 100 years.
Interesting.
Wait a minute. A bird lives 100. Now you talking about some big time
Amazon
snitches.
I
No,
gotta be
no.
honest with you, dude. I'm
If
looking-
anybody can snitch, it's a parrot.
I put what do parrots eat?
Cheeseburgers are not one of them.
Meat not in the top 20.
Yeah, I don't know why he's biting
In the
ass too.
Top 20.
Hey,
Fruits, nuts, vegetables, broccoli, carrots,
like
papaya.
cheeseburger. Sorry.
Oh, what made you think? Oh, let me go ahead.
How
It's
did
a
you-
bird. It's a parrot.
cheeseburger.
Because
Doesn't even have
I
teeth.
think somebody was eating something one time and he went down and took a bite.
What you said? Polly wants a burger?
No.
Yourself a cholesterol parrot.
A1C parrot.
No, that parrot needs Ozempic quick.
Take a break.